What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You dead meat!
Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find a little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, a show where two white people who went to Korea for a week one time trying to explain 2,000 years of Korean-Japanese relations. I'm Chelsea.
I'm James, and we're white and we like to get scared.
Okay, let's preface this episode. I wanted to watch a movie this week for the show.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we also have to watch some movie. We got to finish watching some movies for the horror awards.
Yeah.
We've got a couple left. Let's pick one we can also do for the podcast. The one that interested me the most out of those choices was Exuma. And I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be like a fun little haunted house movie or something. I didn't know anything about it. Big mistake.
Big mistake.
It's a very, very good movie.
I love this movie.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I mean, it was the top grossing Korean film.
Grossing film in South Korea of last year.
Yes.
It was there. What was our top grossing film last year? Mario? No. Barbie? No. Yeah, Barbie?
I don't
24?
That was 23.
That was 23.
Oh, what was 24?
I don't remember.
But
God.
Yeah, it's the equivalent to like a fucking Top Gun Maverick over there.
Sure, yeah.
And it is the sixth highest grossing film in South Korean film history.
Yeah.
This 2-hour, 20-minute Korean.
Yeah, this long genre
long as
movie.
hell. Yeah.
I was reading an interview with the director. He wrote and directed it, and I'm so sorry in advance for these name pronunciations. You might be able to help a little bit.
I might be able to help. I learned Hangul.
Yeah. Jang
Jae-hyun.
He was like, I set out to make not a blockbuster. Like, this was a genre movie, and it's weird that it got this popular.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think it did so well there because it is definitely made for Korean audiences. This is not Korean media with an eye towards an American audience hoping to make a splash here. If you have no familiarity with Korean folklore or history, you'll probably be a little lost. This timed well.
We
after
did
our
time
trip.
this well with a trip where we learned a lot about Korean history and Korean Japanese history, which is extremely fraught and complicated. And
apparently it's like a common thing in Korean, especially horror films, to be connected to. It'd be like movies here being connected to like slavery, I think, as like an evil
something
of the
that
past that has reverberations into the present.
Right, like something that is tied into the kind of fabric of
society.
Yeah.
Because
where it has a reverberating effect throughout time and history. Yeah.
Because when did the Japanese occupy Korea?
That would have been
1900.
I think officially 1910 is through
the end of World War II, 45.
Yeah.
So like the first half
like
of
30,
the 20th
35
century.
years, I think.
Yeah. It was they were occupied and they did a lot of bad shit during that like they tried to exterminate their language, right? We learned about that in the Hangul Museum.
And at a certain point, I know that Koreans were expected to take on Japanese family names, at least. Like, the both written and spoken language was, I think, criminalized at.
It was bad because this is like, this was like World War II Japanese government, the ones who allied with Hitler.
Yeah.
Those ones.
Yeah.
So they are in a sense the villain in this movie, and my understanding is in other Korean horror movies, like kind of the Japanese as a whole are like this villainous force, and I saw some people complain about that. But I think, the movie is, like I said, for Koreans, and they're dealing with this trauma. I guess it's akin a little bit to how a lot of American media has Nazis as just like the go-to bad guy.
Right.
Only the difference is we're not saying like, oh, it's the Germans. We're specifying, but I assume that in media such as this, there's an underlying understanding that it's like that era of Japanese occupiers.
Yes. Granted, I think a big difference there is how the German and Japanese governments then handled how they discuss
Like post-war. Yeah, because Germany is very much
Germany is very
at least for most of the time post-war.
yeah. The thing is, Germany's a weird thing because it's not like they're just very like Nazi stuff isn't allowed.
Yes.
It's not that they don't have a really far right wing. They do, right now especially. But they were like, we did this shit during World War II. They don't deny it.
Yeah.
They accepted their responsibility for those things and disavowed the Nazi Party. Japan, not so much in a lot of different ways, even down to like comfort women, which is a big, around Korea, there's a lot of like comfort women memorials. And that's one of the like,
And explain that just briefly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's one of like the most like, I love history and I find myself diving into like a lot of morbid history, and the kind of legacy of comfort women is one of the most upsetting things I think I've ever learned about. It's truly like,
especially the name.
The name is contentious as well. It doesn't quite accurately describe how brutal this was. It was forced prostitution.
Yeah.
Of
Korean
women by the Japanese.
It
was women who were sent to provide services to Japanese soldiers who were occupying Korea, and it is some of the most violent history I have. Like, I don't want to like recommend learning because it really is like harrowing. It's some of the most disturbing shit I've ever read. But that's all feeding into this movie.
Yeah, and they don't, dive into a lot of the specifics. So it's just knowledge that you kind of have to be familiar with if you want to understand the full impact of what this movie's saying. That being said, it is a fun-ish movie. I keep comparing it in my head to Da Vinci Code.
Really? I thought you were going to say The Changeling because we had that
also compared to the Changeling.
Well.
But as far as tone goes, it's this crack team of supernatural people, like people who are in tune with the supernatural. You got a shaman, you got a geomancer.
How do you remember the Da Vinci Code that well?
No, but it's an adventure movie with a mystery to it surrounding history and uncovering things.
Okay, sure.
And so that's what this kind of feels like, because this movie starts off with a mystery. It's like there is a family that has the firstborn men of the family are like cursed, and they want to know why. And this like team of 4 people who are the best at their job in Korea, they're like, we'll figure it out. It's probably something to do with your buried grandpa. And then everything just like spins out from there. And then it also like small spoiler alert, they wrap that shit up like, I don't know, 80 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, I remember thinking like, I know this was 2.5 hours long. Why does it feel like this is ending?
Yeah, there's a whole nother movie after that where they're like, wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Yeah.
And that's, what really gets into the historical stuff. And I saw some people online not liking that second half because it is a shift. It goes from more of a supernatural horror to kind of more of like a monster type thing. There's more of a tangible opposition there.
And it's also, the second half is way more dependent on like traditional superstitions, spiritualism, like symbolism, history, that if you're not familiar with any of that, it would be totally impenetrable. Like, I remember at a certain point, I just looked at you and I was like, this is a movie that Americans could never even dream of remaking. It truly does not translate.
You can't have like an American remake of this.
The closest thing I can think of is like our kind of exorcism films, like the Catholic Church and all of the symbol. And I guess that's Da Vinci Code a little bit too, because a lot of that is like, like all the like
National Treasure.
Honestly, National Treasure too, where it's just like clues throughout history and stuff where if you're not familiar with that already, you might be like, okay, there's a lot of information flying at me right now and I don't know what's going on. But I don't know, I think their Western counterparts are kind of like, Exorcists or Yeah.
Yeah. On top of all that, I mean, I was just talking to you. I always don't know if I can properly judge acting done in a language I don't know, because who knows if that deliveries are good. But from what I can tell, great acting here. You know, the emotions and everything.
Dude, I thought that the Geomancer looked familiar.
Oh, what's he in? 'Cause I loved him.
I couldn't place him, and you know why I couldn't place him? Because in my head, you might recognize him as being like 20 years younger. He's the dad from Old Boy. Like, he's the main character.
Oh, he's the main guy?
Yeah.
He ate that squid?
Yeah, he ate the squid, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that the two younger leads, Choi Min-sik and
No, wait, that's
oh no, you're right. That's the
Old Boy.
Geomancer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Kim Go-eun and Lee Do-hyun.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that they're kind of like hot commodities right now. They're in a lot of stuff. A lot of people really knew that Kim Go-eun, South Korean actress she's won several Best New Actress awards in South Korea.
I just always, whenever I learn about like new, like, or at least like, yeah, just hot Korean actors or celebrities, I'm always just like, hope you're all okay.
Yeah, we're recording
Celebrity.
this the day after the K-pop star.
Was it a K-pop star?
Yeah, the
They found her?
24-year-old and Death by Suicide.
Yeah.
Like,
It's upsettingly common.
yeah.
I just always, like, the celebrity culture there, I think both Korea and Japan is like really intense.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just the social mores are really different, and
Because, like, it's a scandal if they're, like, caught, I don't know,
Smoking
smoking.
weed.
Yeah.
or like not showing the correct kind of deference to someone in like a social setting. I've
Yeah.
seen too. I think that more so I've seen used as like if the public's already starting to turn on someone,
Okay.
you know, they'll use like this example of like, see, they behaved this way to someone they should have had more respect for, and it's I don't know.
I hope they're all right.
I know,
Yeah.
because everyone's very good in this.
Yeah, it looks great. It's, like, well directed. It looks excellent.
Yeah, the effects in this are very neat. The director also was saying that a lot of it is like in-camera practical stuff, aside from maybe some obvious things of CGI, like snake with a person head, which I was very excited.
Which is a Japanese thing.
That makes sense, considering where we see the snake with the person head.
That was a creepy effect. Yeah.
It honestly
we
really
yelped.
creeped us
We both yelped.
out. And then I was very excited about it, and I was like, wait, but I want to see that again. And we don't revisit it in the movie for like too long.
But yeah, I definitely recommend checking this out. Maybe having an understanding that it's delving into a lot of history will make you appreciate it more and leave you a little less confused. I don't know is there any kind of like spark notes we can recommend people consult before checking out this movie?
You know what? I watched it. Here, vamp for a second while I bring up this guy's YouTube video. I watched a really interesting YouTube video earlier today where it was the history of Korean shamanism.
Yeah, because the movie is dealing with a lot of like traditional Korean superstitions, folklore, beliefs. Feng shui is like a big part of this, which what I gather from this movie is a lot more complicated than arranging furniture in a room, like our westernized understanding of it.
I mean, and maybe I'm mistaken here, but I think it's like very much about its chi. It's like the energy of a space.
Well, that's because
and it's incorporating the elements and like balance and
which are Korea, like the 5 elements. Those are different than what we think of as the 4 elements, right? Because I always think of earth, wind, fire, water.
Yeah, Korea's elements, which I think are also like, I think it originated in China.
Okay.
But like Korea's like traditional 5 elements, it's water, earth, fire, metal, and wood.
Yes. So not air.
I think that's it, yeah. And they have their colors that are associated with them.
And then there's also, again, from what I gather, a belief that the land of Korea has energy flowing through it, because that is a huge part of this story with the metal stakes. So that's connected to feng shui is.
Yeah, and geography. And it was interesting, this video about shamanism I was watching, there's a lot of discussion of, there's a lot of like mythology tied to shamanism that involves mountains, which I thought was kind of neat because a big centerpiece of this movie is this mountain burial site. So this YouTube video by Looney Tricky, I'll link to it in the description, but it's like a 45-minute essay about Korean shamanism, which I thought was really interesting. I didn't know that because I was trying the whole time. I'm thinking like, okay, wait, what religion are these characters part of? I didn't realize Korean it's its own thing. Korean shamanism, it is its own practice.
But one of them's Christian, right?
The funeral. Yes, he's not a shaman though.
Yeah, no.
Right. Yeah.
He's a different element of the crack team.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just thought it was cool just learning about how this practice borrowed from like Buddhism and I think a bit of like Confucianism too. And I thought it was interesting that for a long time women weren't allowed in Buddhist temples. And the only religion women could really fully practice was shamanism. So I think it's probably very intentional. Our main character is female and she's got, these female relatives. Like she lives in this like...
Oh yeah, her sisters.
Right.
They're all shamans.
They're all yes. Yeah. It is apparently also, I think, like it's a profession that I think can be passed down and it goes through women in the family.
Okay.
Which is kind of neat.
So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to do as quick a recap as we can instead of going beat by beat, especially it's a long movie, but I'd rather discuss how everything that's in the movie that takes place ties together. And that's easier to do after we've like talked about it all, addressed it all as having occurred, and then we can go back and talk about it. But as opposed to a usual podcast where it's like we reach the end and it's like, all right, that's it, thanks, subscribe.
Sure, yeah. This will be a bit more freeform.
Yeah.
I also do apologize because we selected this movie so close to when this episode had to come out. My mistake for not researching it before we watched it.
We were saying this should have been like a his house two-parter.
This could have easily been like a two-parter, although that episode did almost kill me. I don't know.
You do always cite that as the one that
it was
broke
true.
You.
I've never hit burnout so hard in my life as I did after those two episodes back to back. So I'm just a little gun shy, I think. But in a perfect world, I would have wanted to spend a bit more time with research prior to recording this, but just with how our schedule is right now, this is, we did our best. We both like, I definitely spent the day like researching.
Yeah, all last night, like in bed, I was just laying there reading about this movie because I found it so cool. And the more I read about it and the more I understood the symbolism and how it ties to Korean culture, the more I liked it. So, because I see people compare it to The Wailing a lot, which we have not seen.
No.
That's another South Korean horror film that a lot of people say.
Wait, no, we watched that.
Are you serious?
The Wailing? Yes.
Which one was that?
That one, okay, because I think it was, when was that from?
That's from like a little late, it's late 2010s.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's why you don't.
I
remember
don't. My
it.
memory's garbage.
No, we definitely watched The Wailing.
Really? Did we like it?
Because there's like a contagion in it. It's not the sadness.
It's not the sadness. No, I remember the sadness.
No,
that one will stick with you.
The Wailing, which they both just sound like such miserable experiences. No, we watched The Wailing
because people have compared the two. And I saw a lot of people say they prefer The Wailing, but
interesting.
I'll have to look at it. Anyway, go watch the movie if you haven't. And
check out. I mean, it's always interesting to see, like, it's cool checking out what is another country's #1 movie. It's such an interesting peek into like what a culture that you're very far removed from is like into. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like there was just an animated movie in China that was their first movie to gross $1 billion, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's just crazy because it's like, I've never heard of it.
The Chinese box office is its own thing.
It's its own thing,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. It's 10 years ago, U.S. movies were like, oh, we'll get a ton of money from China, and then China was like, actually, we'll make our own movies, and they'll do just as well, if not better. So yeah, that's a whole nother world, and such a short period of time that occurred in. It's crazy. Let's talk Exuma.
Exuma. So we meet our crack team.
We got
first.
shamans who we thought were maybe siblings. They're not.
They're kind
they
of
feel like surrogate
adopted,
siblings.
Yeah, because we learned that her family took him in.
Yeah, and what is it? Huamin is the.
Again, apologies.
We'll probably just resort to like lady shaman,
The shaman, and
dude shaman. Dude shaman's tatted up.
He is.
Buddhist scripture all over him.
Yeah, he's her. It said Wikipedia says he's her protege, so I think he's still kind of in training.
Yeah, Yoon Bong-gil.
Yeah.
And Lee Hwa-rim. And then so they get this job.
Yeah. Okay. So this took me out of it for a second because they get a call from a wealthy client. It's a Korean guy who has family
living in LA,
living in Los Angeles, whose baby, he's been having issues with his newborn baby, and they've tried everything. He resorts to calling this shaman team. They go to LA, and the hospital, quote unquote, that they go to see this baby is the Anaheim Convention Center.
Sure is.
I was like, they're in VidCon, dude.
We've been Littlefinger and Cersei there.
They go to D23 to visit this baby, and
apparently the baby is suffering from the same thing the dad has suffered from, where every time he closes his eyes, he hears screaming and feels like he's being strangled.
Yeah. Cool.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, it's probably like a buried grandpa throwing a tantrum.
Which is, in this video about shamanism I was watching, is the thing. That's one of the kind of traditional things that a shaman can be called in for, is like generational stuff, or like an unhappy ancestor in the beyond who is, it's then, afflicting the family.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat. So I like that. It's like, oh, it's one of these. Gonna call a shaman.
Seems like a pretty standard case for them, but they are going to need a geomancer, which I think is an awesome job title.
It's such a cool job title.
Because it's like a feng shui guy. It's an older guy, and he works with a slightly younger like funeral director. I don't know why they're like teamed up. But
I think it's because the geomancer basically is like, all right, I'll pick out the plots with good feng shui, and then you'll do all the funeral homes. Like you'll do the actual
ceremonies and rituals.
So I think it makes sense that
it does make sense. Yeah, and he's complaining that like there's not a lot of room left in this country. It's a small land. We've been burying people for thousands of years.
That's a cool zombie movie plot, because like the tagline of Dawn of the Dead is like, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Yeah, this is like a Korean version where it's like there's no good burial plots left, so it's all these unhappy ancestors are recently deceased who all finally are just like, we're fed up.
Yeah, because we catch up with them as they're like doing a job, and they're exhuming
someone.
Yeah, so we get to see a little bit of the ritual and what their job entails when they get hired by these other people who are like, yo, this client is super wealthy, lives in LA, he's Korean, his family is American, like Korean American.
Yes, I think so.
So yeah, but they're American,
right?
Of Korean descent. So his wife is an American. Their children are, American. They've lived there for a while. And they go and meet him. And initially, the geomancer's like, no, dude, I can't take this job.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, it already is weird.
You got bad vibes.
Yeah,
bad vibes here. But
sometimes the kids just got bad vibes.
Yeah, like the fucking Saxon and White Lotus.
Oh yeah, we just watched episode 1 of the new season of White Lotus, Rancid Family. Rancid Family.
What changes his mind?
The
money. Like, he's seeing foxes at this gravesite, because they go to the American guy's grandpa's grave. That's back in Korea. It's on this fucking mountaintop.
Yeah. So okay. So what it is it's like, all right, we think grandpa is unhappy. He's buried on top of this mountain back in Korea. Can you go check it out? But don't open the coffin.
Can't open the coffin.
We can't tell you why, but don't open the coffin.
So
And that's all. I think that's why the geomancer's like, dude, I'm not touching this.
yeah,
because
this is weird all around.
Yeah.
He goes there, he tastes the dirt, tastes bad.
it's bad. Yeah, he's like, no, it's weird. And I think it's just, I actually don't think it's the money. I think it's just, the shaman is like, well, we can do these 2 ceremonies at once kind of thing to make sure that when we exhume this coffin, it's all good.
Yeah.
And I think that makes him like, okay, we'll do that.
We'll do a protective ritual.
And I think he's a little bit curious too.
Sure. This ritual is awesome.
Yes, it is. I think in shamanism, this would be considered what's called a gut, a G-U-T.
Okay.
I learned all about this ritual in that video. Seriously, this video is very interesting. Kind of like dry, but I enjoyed it. It was kind of soothing. And it's this ritual where I think there's like different kinds, but I think like the one they mainly perform is this gut. I don't know if this is what this would be.
They're banging on drums, they're chanting.
Yes, footage of that in this video looked very similar to this, where it's lots of like changing
Do they have the pigs?
Costumes. There was a pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what they're doing as part of this ritual is they're going to like any evil or bad vibes with this, they're going to transfer to these pig carcasses. So there's
pretty
like,
much.
there's
Yeah.
like
It's
drumming.
It's a distraction ritual.
Which reminded us of Pope's Exorcist, where they're
Yes,
like,
yeah.
they're going to exorcise a demon from a boy into a pig and then kill the pig.
Yeah.
And then that's how you take care of that demon.
So this is more, I guess this is like a lot less traditional than what I was watching videos of, where this is a distraction of something that they know is evil and they don't want to commune with. They want to just make sure that it is contained. Whereas in these traditional ceremonies, it's this cool thing where the shaman performing the ceremony gets like possessed by the deity that they are communing with, and then everyone fucking parties with the possessed shaman. Like they just dance and play music, and there's this really interesting, I honestly was kind of moved by this whole philosophy. The idea is that when this deity is summoned and you are at this party essentially, which can be a few people, it can be a bunch, it can be the whole neighborhood. There's this idea that the deity sees everyone equally, and you are all there to like be treated equally by this deity and to like feed them and play music and dance and party. And I was like, it just seems so cool. That's not what this is.
No.
They're not wanting to party with whatever the fuck is in the
Dude, I
ground
wonder
here.
I wonder if they do the cha-cha slide. Like a
Dude,
deity. That'd be cool.
That'd be so cool.
And the deity's like looking around like, wait, what's the step?
Charlie
Like,
Brown.
Yeah, wait, Detroit Hustle? It doesn't make sense.
Hey, I want to talk to you about our sponsor this week, Rocket Money. It's the new year, and one of my goals is to pay more attention to how my life is organized. I'm very bad about clutter. Stuff on my desk, clothes on the floor, subscriptions I've forgotten about. The start of a new year is the perfect time to get organized, set goals, and prioritize what matters most. Rocket Money makes that so easy. With Rocket Money, I don't have to remember every subscription or worry about forgetting any because I can see them all laid out right in front of me. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You can easily create a dashboard with a personalized budget to help keep your spending on track. Get alerts if bills go up in price, if there's unusual spending activity, or you're about to go over budget. There's even a new goals feature that'll automatically save money for you, so you don't even have to think about it. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/deadmeat today. That's rocketmoney.com/deadmeat. rocketmoney.com/deadmeat. Our next sponsor this week is Quince. So I'm trying to be better about incorporating high quality pieces into my wardrobe that I wear more often. Stuff that'll last me a long time even though I've worn it over and over. Unfortunately, I've had a hard time justifying the price of those items. That is until I discovered Quince. Quince offers luxury essentials at affordable prices. washable silk tops and dresses, organic cotton sweaters, and 14-karat gold jewelry. They partner directly with top factories instead of using a middleman, so those savings get passed right on to us. Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. I bought a cashmere sweater and some high-rise jeans, and James also got some jeans and a pair of joggers. So I have to admit I'm absolutely guilty of using fast fashion sites, but oh wow, the difference that I felt immediately pulling this stuff out of the package. The cashmere sweater especially is an absolute dream. It's super light, but the fabric itself feels really dense, and I could immediately tell that this was going to become a wardrobe staple that'll last for years. And it's dead meat red, one of my favorite colors to wear. Give yourself the luxury you deserve with Quince. Go to quince.com/deadmeat for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/deadmeat to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/deadmeat.
So they dig up this coffin, which is made of juniper trees. So that's some fancy shit. They're like, oh, this is like
reserved
for royals.
for royals. So this was an important person.
And the guy, the client, the American or the Korean who's living in America, he's like, listen, you just got to burn this coffin outright. Like, don't open it.
Don't open it.
Just fucking go cremate it.
Right.
Take care of this. I'm sick of Grandpa giving us issues. Just go cremate it without even opening it.
Don't open it, though.
On their way, transporting this thing, one of the gravediggers is hanging out, and he sees a little, like, snake.
They hire these gravediggers, and all the gravediggers specifically, they are born in the year of the pig to kind of go, they said that they're...
okay.
To
go along with the... Okay,
right, yeah. And... So yeah, everyone else is gone. These gravediggers are still there, and he sees a snake in the dirt where this coffin was.
And he cuts it in half with a shovel, really Savini's it, and but turns out it's not just a regular snake. It's a snake with a woman's head.
It's a snake with a person head on it, and it screams, and we screamed because it just took everything so far in this is pretty, like, there's hints at the supernatural. It's creepy, but nothing that looks like this thing does.
Which is a Japanese, it's a Nur-Onna.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Is it
a Japanese yokai?
Oh, sure.
Which
yokai.
is a class
like
of
a
supernatural
demon.
entities and spirits. And so these, like, lady snakes, head of a woman, body of a snake, they're seen as a paranormal phenomenon at sea under the name of Nuriyomijo, and they are often said to consume humans but have no single appearance or personality. I'll tell you its appearance, it was fucking scary.
I wonder why there's one here.
Well, we find out later what it's associated with.
I don't remember.
I'll let you know when we get there. But, well, it happens right here. He cuts it in half and it starts raining. Yeah, and you can't cremate during rain.
Apparently you can't cremate. I just
Bad
imagine
vibes.
it's like trying to get through like a maze or something.
Oh yeah, they say like if it's raining, the spirit can't properly
They
ascend,
can't find a
or
good afterlife.
Yeah.
It makes it harder for them to
just
navigate.
messes with their radar. You know,
Yeah.
they can't get out there. So they're like, we can't do it in this rain. So they're storing the coffin, and sure enough, some asshole opens it. Some guy who works there at the hospital where they're storing it. Just got to see what's in there.
It's all like tied up and stuff. It takes work for this dude to go snooping around in here. And as the coffin is open, something fucking flies out of it and
knocks down
the shaman.
The shaman lady knocks her straight on her ass. And then that starts chapter 3. This movie like has chapter titles, I think 6 of them.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah. So now the spirit is unleashed. It's the spirit of the Korean American guy's
grandfather.
Right. And so this spirit is going around, and it goes to this guy's parents who are still alive, but like the dad is in a wheelchair and not there. And so that's why this guy's like the head of the family, and his mom's like jazzercising in the fucking, or no, she's like
bar dancing along with the TV.
And this spirit comes in and convinces the guy in the wheelchair, who is the spirit's son,
to open the window.
To open the window, you know, classic folklore thing. Like they got to be invited in.
I think folklore is the most fun when there's weird rules for everything.
For sure.
I don't know what about it is so appealing to me. I just think it's the idea that like if you're walking through like rural medieval Europe, and you have your little rule book of what to do if you encounter X creature. I don't know why. I just think it's so fun.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The spirit murders the hell out of these two.
Yes.
Because it is on a revenge tour of all the descendants who have ignored his screaming for the past 100 years. And
he says, you know what? Fuck you, I'm taking you all to the grave with me.
Yeah. This poor, this this angry grandpa has been buried in a shit plot for 100 years, screaming for someone to do something about it. Now that he's out, he's going one by one, taking out his descendants.
Yeah, and they're like, oh my God, he's gonna fly to America to get this baby.
Yeah.
Is the conclusion they come
They're worried that the spirit's gonna fly to America to kill a baby.
Yes.
And it probably will.
We've already learned at this point that the plot is weird because the son, our guy who...
The grave plot, not like the storyline.
Yes. The actual plot where the grave was on this mountain was weird because a monk convinced the son, the current head of the family, that this is where his grandpa should be buried.
Yeah.
Insisted on it.
He was told to bury his grandpa there.
Right.
In an unmarked grave, but because they're so rich and wealthy, it would be protected against
They're
grave
look,
robbers.
it's a good spot because, you don't want anything flashy. This will deter grave robbers kind of thing. So that's why this grave ended up there. The demon, it gets the whole family except the baby.
Yeah, it gets to the head of the family guy and possesses him, and our geomancer is there in person with him. Actually, this is the scariest scene.
It is
because the guy gets a phone call and it's the geomancer, and he's like, "Hey, I'm on my way there. There's something wrong. We gotta talk.
Whatever you do, don't open the door. Don't.
And then he hears a banging at the door, and on the other side of it,
it's gonna be the geomancer.
Is the guy saying, "Hey, it's me, the geomancer. Let me in."
It's as soon as there's a knock at the door, I know it's gonna be, but it still
it's
is so
Smile
great.
has a similar kind of scary thing where the person you're on the phone with is also the person in front of you.
Yeah, it always.
It's always good.
Yeah,
I love it. And so he's on the phone, and the geomancer on the phone is being like, "Do not open that door.
Open the window.
Go to the window.
Instead.
Open that." And the guy does it.
Which, having seen previously. The dad be convinced. You're like, fuck, man. The one on the phone's the demon.
As soon as he opens the window, the one on the phone starts laughing.
Yep.
And then he is possessed. The actual geomancer is at the door.
Then this is one of many unexpected twists and turns when the grandson gets possessed. He is throwing up a Nazi salute, kind of.
Yeah.
And is talking about
appeasement to
yes.
East Asian unification
Yep.
under Japanese rule.
Yeah. So that was unexpected.
Yep. First indication of what we got coming ahead.
Where this is going. Yeah.
He chugs all the water.
Again, very Smile too.
Oh yeah, I did think
chugging
Smile
bottles
too with
of
that.
water. Yeah.
And then he just kind of cranks his head all the way around.
I don't know how they made this guy look so sweaty in this scene.
Yeah, he's the sweatiest
glistening.
man ever.
He's like a turkey in an oven. I don't understand how he's so glistening with sweat in this. It's really upsetting to look at.
His head turns all the way around, and then he falls, and he falls and hits the table, and then goes down, and when he hits the table, it knocks over a bottle of water that pours. It's just a nice little touch.
Yeah.
But that guy dies. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's dead.
So it's okay, where is this going?
Oh, he also said before he died, the fox severed the tiger's waist. He said that a bunch of times.
It's important.
And the geomancer was like, I don't know what the fuck that means.
I'll file that away for later.
Yeah.
Later in this movie.
So now that guy's dead. His baby's still alive.
Yes.
And they're worried about the baby. There is an aunt who is funny enough. So she is another daughter of the spirit, the angry grandfather spirit. Mm-hmm. And she is the head of the family's aunt. Early on, we were like, that just looks like the aunt from Ready or Not. A Korean version of her.
It is the Korean version of the aunt from Ready or Not. It's uncanny. They're dressed
short
the same.
Silver hair.
They have the same makeup.
Yeah. So she is now the only one who can give permission for them to actually cremate this body. And so there's this whole tense sequence where like the baby is almost being possessed.
And it's
they're on the phone.
And
yeah, they're like, just give us permission to cremate. And she like was against the cremation from the start. She finally gives in. They burn that body, not the baby.
Not the baby, yeah.
Baby survives. They burn the body, and it saves the baby, and the grandfather's spirit is relinquished.
Yep.
So, great.
So, okay, there's a lot of movie left.
Well, the movie left, yeah.
So what's going on here?
Well, the gravedigger who cut up that snake, he's sick now. And it turns out that the snake...
You promised you were going to remind me what the snake was, because I can't remember.
Yeah.
What's the deal with the snake?
Well, here it is. The snake represents water, one of the elements. That's why when they killed it, it started raining right away.
Okay.
And by killing it, it removed the balance of the 5 elements.
Okay.
The other 4 elements are present in this grave, as we will see. But by removing the balance, it now frees the next part of this movie.
The second half of this movie.
Because they go back to that grave and find out that beneath where the grandpa was buried...
Another grave!
Another
coffin!
Double internment!
They keep saying the phrase double internment, and every time it came up in the captions, we just couldn't not say it.
I just wish I had my soundboard.
Double
internment. Intern-tacular.
And interned vertically.
They find a vertically buried grave, and it is
old-looking grave that is wrapped in barbed wire.
very old, wrapped in barbed wire,
shit.
gigantic.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's dig it up.
Let's do it. We have to. We gotta know what's up with this thing. But yeah, it's massive. It's like 9 feet tall.
Yes.
It's so big.
They take it to a nearby temple that the geomancer had visited earlier. He was like, oh, hey, that's my people. And they like surround it with rice and horse's blood. A lot of horse's blood in this movie. Apparently that's pretty important, it seems.
Sure.
But the thing inside this coffin breaks out and just goes up.
They didn't even consider that it could just go straight up.
It just goes.
Like,
He's gone. He went straight up.
Straight up. They didn't even consider that he could escape the circle of rice and blood and not break it by just whoop up through the roof of this shed.
And so this guy is a gigantic Japanese samurai-looking guy. He's got a helmet and everything. He looks like, and I'm sorry to bring it to the podcast, he looks like the Oni in Fortnite.
I mean, I was the one who said it first. To be fair.
I was thinking it.
We were both thinking it's like the Oni in Fortnite.
There's and Gressel knows too, because I got him playing. We're all playing Fortnite now.
Yep.
And there's an Oni walking around. He's going, where. And so I kept saying that during this movie.
Yes.
But he is a large guy who I love. A lot of people online didn't like him because they thought he was just now it's just a monster. And I did see one comment be like, I wonder if the people who don't like him were watching the English dub, because part of why I love him is his voice.
Yes.
It's terrifying.
It's very cool.
It's so deep and it reverberates.
Yeah.
It's got such a presence to it. And this guy, he kills one of the monks there. And
man, he kind of pulls a when evil lurks. It's a little like just, ripping a head off, eating it.
He's feeding body parts to pigs.
Oh, yeah.
He's tossing heads around.
Yeah.
Like, this is a scary motherfucker.
Yeah,
I love him.
He's very scary.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is when we learn that the monk that convinced the grandson character,
whose name is Jisun. Gisune.
Yeah, I think they're the Park family.
I'm
sorry,
that's
the monk.
The monk.
Yeah, the monk is Jisune.
Which apparently is a corruption or mistranslation or mishearing of Kitsune, which is like Japanese for fox.
Yes, okay.
So this monk...
I did kind of think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this monk was a Japanese monk.
Yep.
Okay.
So he also, he's Japanese. He, the grandpa... that spirit from earlier pledged allegiance to the Japanese.
Yes, he was and that's why was it the Park family? Is that the rich family who hires them? I just want to make sure. Yeah, you're positive?
What? That's the grandpa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's why he's like, don't open the...
That's why he's like, don't open the coffin. That's why they live in America, too. They fled Korea because the grandpa was a Japanese sympathizer.
Right.
And so after the war, when the Japanese occupation ended, they, already having gotten rich from collaborating with the Japanese during that, took that money, fucked off to America. That's why that guy's there now. Mm-hmm. And so their riches have been, garnered from this betrayal of the country.
Right.
They called the grandpa a quisling for the country.
Yes.
Fun little historical name that, I was like, this sounds familiar. It was a Norwegian.
He was the Norwegian.
He was also a Nazi collaborator during World War II.
I forget, was he the prime minister of Norway
forget.
during Nazi occupation? I can't remember.
But I was like, oh yeah, quisling. So it can be, it's a name turned into a term, kind of like Chamberlain is for appeasement. Mm-hmm. So if you were confused by someone, I forget who says that, but
yeah, he's described as a quisling. Mm-hmm. So this Japanese monk, who is maybe not a monk,
he's like supernatural.
he's a spirit. Yeah, he's like a fox spirit.
Yeah. They were like, his energy was way off.
They were like not human.
Yeah.
Right. Convinces this grandpa in advance to select this burial plot because it will. He was right. It's once you learn that it's like a high-ranking official, I guess, because of the security that gravesite. Basically, having a high-ranking official buried on top of this samurai demon thing
hides the samurai's grave.
Samurai.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
basically is just like a layer of protection.
Exactly, and that's why the grandpa was so mad. He was buried just to be used.
He probably realized upon reaching the afterlife, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm just garden. I'm just being used
this
as
is not a place of honor. This is
And I think it's the aunt who says I don't know why they would bury him in this way when he was so loyal to the Japanese. And it was they were just using him as a protective shield for the samurai who hundreds of years ago, so that's a little indication that the monk is supernatural, because hundreds of years ago, this samurai apparently killed 10,000 Koreans during fighting.
Would this be 1500s? Because I know during the 1500s there was a big Japanese invasion of Korea, and
they cite specifically the battle in which he was slain.
Oh shit!
It starts with an S. It's somewhere in my notes, but I can't find it now. So if you look that up, I'm sure that'll tell you when that was supposed to take place. But the monk was there, and this samurai, this gigantic fucking Japanese samurai, after apparently killing 10,000 Koreans in this war, was killed. So what they did was they put a metal sword or
it's a metal rod, or I think it was a sword
into him, like a katana maybe even, turning him into a metal stake.
Yeah, they put his head back on that way too.
Yep, and then they buried him vertically to be a stake in the ground. Now, why this matters is because apparently during the Japanese occupation, and I don't know if it's factual or if it was just something that was spread as a by either Koreans or Japanese. I haven't read that much into it, but apparently the Japanese went around staking the land to disrupt the natural flow of energy in Korea's land. And so that is what this is tied to, is he is literally a stake. And when the one guy said before he died while he was possessed, he said the fox, what was it? The fox
severs the tiger's waist.
Severed the tiger's waist. The tiger is the Korean peninsula. And at the waist is the division, pretty much between North and South Korea.
I mean, when they first go to the grave site, I forget who notices.
It's the funeral director.
Yeah, he's like, wow, the view here's crazy. If you literally North Korea's right there.
Yeah, so they're right there at the dividing line between North and South Korea, and they drive a stake into it to disrupt the Korean energy, to keep the Korean people divided, maybe, but basically to mess with the energy of the land. And so that's what they realize is the samurai's purpose in that burial. It is like a giant, and it's the spirit is an anima, which is a spirit that has evolved in tandem with a physical thing. The one shaman, the guy, the tatted up guy, he gets possessed.
That's right.
Yeah, he like spends the rest of the movie in like a hospital bed.
Yeah, because the samurai goes for his liver.
Yeah, samurai guy loves liver. He loves sweet
liver
fish
and melons.
and melons.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
He's hungry.
He's a hungry boy. And that was the other thing that I was reading was the grandpa's spirit was so hungry for food and thirst because he was disrupted during his burial. You know, he spent so that's why when he comes to, remember first when like his son, the guy in the wheelchair lets him in.
Oh yeah, there's like
He's like
he's eating stuff.
he's eating stuff in the background, and then he's
yeah.
drinking all that water.
Yeah,
he's so thirsty.
I wonder if because I spent most of my research time kind of learning about like the kind of Korean spirituality and like shamanism is like where I kind of spent most of my time, but I learned a little bit about like oni and like Japanese demons, and I know there's a type of oni where they are constantly hungry and thirsty, and even when you give them offerings, it basically turns to like ash, and so they're never satisfied. I wonder if that's kind of what this is as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so our protege, yeah, he's possessed. He's like just in the hospital. They realize that like, oh, the only place.
Oh, also, we forgot to say the Oni fucking turned into a fireball.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Oni's flying around. He's
At
a
that
giant
temple?
fireball. It looks cool as fuck.
Yeah.
This
Why? How's it
fireball-
look so cool?
Honestly, the above shot where the fireball's kind of going in circles and it's casting this orange light on everything. I'm like, wait, how did they shoot this?
Yeah.
Shot? It just looks cool.
It's a giant fireball just dancing around in the sky. It's really cool.
It looks neat. I don't know what kind of comp they did here, but I like it. It's pretty nice.
They don't realize that the samurai is the stake.
Yes.
They think he was buried guarding the stake because they find his corpse.
They find and there's coordinates on the headstone and stuff.
Yeah, so they're like somewhere in this grave plot is a stake in the ground and it's fucking everything up and we got to get rid of it because they're even looking at old pictures of like a group of like they were like grave robbers.
Yeah,
purportedly.
they're told they're grave robbers, but then they realize like, oh wait, no, they're basically people like us who were trying to rid the land of this.
And this was a real
state.
thing. Post World War II, groups of people would go out into the mountains and stuff and look for these
I
metal
didn't know that
stakes
was real.
from the Japanese and try to like pull them out
Wow.
to restore the energy of the land.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was looking at like that's like a real thing apparently. And it's, you know, subsided as time's gone on and people forget history and what's happened. And, but it was like a thing that people would do.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So they're like, okay, we'll do that. We'll go back to that grave again and try to find this stake and pull it out. We'll cover ourselves in this Buddhist scripture.
Right.
Because the protege guy who, during like their initial confrontation with the samurai, he got like hurt and then possessed.
Yeah, he went for his liver.
Yeah, oh yeah, he like stuck his hand in.
Yeah.
That's what he meant by the one. I forgot.
Yeah.
He just literally fucking like digs his hand into
Yeah.
his torso.
Because it's also the only spot where there wasn't any tats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like I said, he's tatted up and booted. So like he got in there, and so they're like, oh, it's protective. And so they cover themselves in, get stopped at like a traffic stop, and are like, nope, we're fine.
Yeah.
We're just some tatted up people going to do this. And they like go there. They're dropping fish all over the place as like a distraction.
It's another big distraction thing. The shaman poses as like a tree god of this area.
Yeah.
Like she basically
She says that
performs
she's a tree there.
Yeah.
Because she had like flashes. That was one of the things when he turned into a fireball and they all like looked up at him. They all had like flashes of
Yeah, I
imagery.
wasn't 100% sure.
This movie's definitely worth a rewatch, and I wish that we had the time to be able to do that because like it's so rich in what it's doing. And by time it ends, and you're like, "Oh, that was the story." It'd be great to go back and see where all these things were set up. Yeah.
So yeah, she poses as this tree god, and because I think the Oni also just won't even communicate with humans because he views them as so below.
Oh yeah, he keeps being like, "Oh, humans.
Yeah.
Oh, are you not a human?"
You're a tree god. Okay, we can talk. And then
Also, if he's not an Oni, we apologize.
I think he is though.
Okay.
I think they say he is.
That's just, he looks like the guy in Fortnite. So that's what I'm going off of, dude.
No, I'm pretty sure
Wait.
that's even like the Wikipedia plot description.
Like the more peeks I get at like Eastern folklore, I'm like, you guys are crazy and cool.
Really, yeah, I love it.
It's like, I wish that I had the time to just sit down and study them and like Norse mythology. And just like, there's some crazy shit in there.
Yeah, he basically is like, all right. He's talking about war and stuff, and she, as the tree god's like, dude, the war ended so long ago. You got it. Just go take
man.
a nap. Yeah,
he's like the Japanese soldier who winds up at Gilligan's Island in an episode.
Oh, I was gonna say the Japanese soldier in real life.
There's real life, but there's also an episode of Gilligan's Island where a Japanese soldier shows up thinking he's still fighting World War II.
Yeah,
and then hijinks ensue.
Yeah, sure, based on that guy in real life.
I'm sure. I wonder if the actor playing him was Japanese.
Ooh.
Right? Now I want to go back and look it up.
Gilligan's Island?
Gilligan's Island is old enough to where like the early seasons were black and white and then the later ones were color. It was one of those. So I'm curious to see how that depiction was. Did you have a preference? Between Marianne and Ginger?
No, between the black and... But also, yes, did you have a preference? I know that... That's typically, if someone's talking about Gilligan Island and they're like, do you prefer? Typically, what comes after that is Marianne or Ginger. So I want to know both those answers.
Both of them were lovely in their own ways. I was more of a Marianne guy.
So I know we've discussed that before, too.
The color ones.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
You're more vibrant.
Yeah.
Know? Yeah.
Okay, so while she's distracting him as this tree, that's when the geomancer is realizing, okay, we can kill it by basically rebalancing the elements. Is that correct?
Well, they realize finally, he's the stake.
He's the stake.
There's not a stake hidden because they're digging all up. There's nothing here.
He literally is the stake.
He was like metal, and so because the Oni is associated with fire. He's a fireball.
Fire, yeah.
And then the metal that was put in him, he is fire and metal.
The opposite elements are wood and water.
Yes.
So they need to stab him with a piece of wet wood, which he just gets blood on the handle.
Because remember the water was that snake that was there, but now that's gone. So in substitution for that, he uses his blood as water. Yeah. And he rubs it all over a wooden, I forget what, but...
Yeah, it's like the handle of like an axe or shot.
Because it like broke. Yeah, right? The head of the pickaxe breaks off, so he just has like a wooden stake. That's right. And he wets that boy up with his blood, stabs it into the guy, and balances the the elements.
The elements, yeah.
Does it. But he's real hurt. He got dug in.
Oh yeah, he went for his liver.
It's like a Videodrome fucking way they're shoving that hand in there.
For sure.
And he's like, oh well, dying is going back to the earth, so I guess I'm doing. And then he's like, wait, my daughter has a wedding.
Shit.
I won't die.
Yeah, I cannot die. So he doesn't die.
He doesn't die.
The last scene in the movie is all them at his daughter's wedding.
Yeah, they all get in the family picture. All four of them survive.
Yep,
it's real
they
sweet.
all live.
It's real nice.
They're all cute friends. I like them.
Yeah.
I like that towards the end, especially, you really get confirmation that the funeral owner is Christian. Which
he's
makes
like
sense.
Reciting scripture.
I think at this point Christianity is
it the majority religion or plurality religion maybe? In Korea. Yeah, it might be, but it's a fun like diverse squad of I don't know, supernatural crack team.
Yeah, and like who all have like a variety of beliefs that all come together to like solve this problem. Yeah, it's neat. I like it.
The layer of like when they pull up that second grave and it is wrapped in barbed wire and huge,
and it just looks different than everything.
Yeah.
So far, it's like, oh man, what is this gonna be? And why is it so big?
And there's so many things that we just breezed over. Like she's talking to her grandma.
Yeah, her grandma's a protector,
a shaman who like taught her, and that was one of the things is because she has two sisters who she has watch over the protege in the hospital while they're doing things. There's this whole thing where they have a chicken and they're like, I hope we don't have to kill the chicken.
Sacrifice
But we
chicken,
might have to save him. They don't have to in the end. But one of the things was that they told her that like her grandma also had an interaction with that monk, right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of an indication that like, oh, this guy has like been in too many times.
Yeah.
He's like been around too much.
Yes.
This monk. But if you're not really paying attention or following along, it can be confusing because like, oh, is the monk the samurai? Is the when they find the samurai's body in the grave?
I got confused.
I wasn't sure. I was like, because we had already met the samurai at that temple, and then the geomancer goes back to the grave and he's digging and he finds the samurai's body. But when he finds that body, I'm like, is this a third body? No, it's the samurai's body, and just his spirit is out and about.
Yeah, and also possessing. Or no, wait, who's possessing?
The protege?
Yes.
It is the samurai,
Yes,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure. Yeah. But because like she's even saying he's not a ghost, he's casting shadows. He's like interacting.
Yeah, he's leaving footprints.
Leaving
so
footprints.
What the fuck?
So that was how they determined he was like an anima,
Yeah.
which is more of a tangible thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, this is stuff I think might just be confusing to us as like a Western audience.
Yeah,
you know, because I don't know if this is the perfect comparison, but I think of like our concept in Christianity of like the Holy Trinity is really weird.
Yeah, it's like
where
three, but it's one.
It's three, but it's one, and one of them's the one's dad.
The other is like the spirit.
The other is its own thing.
It's its own thing.
You know,
that always threw me off as a kid. I was like, I get the
threw me off
I get
too.
the father son thing. What's the ghost doing?
Yeah.
Who's it a ghost
that?
of?
Yeah. Like, who even is that?
Do you even go here?
Like, how much dialogue does the Holy Ghost get in the Bible versus the other two?
Is the Holy Ghost saying anything?
I don't know if the Holy Ghost ever
Is the Holy Ghost the
makes-
burning bush? If he's not, you should claim it. You should be like, that was me.
Yeah.
No, I think burning bush is back when God went by Yahweh. You know?
Oh,
yeah. And his OG, he was like. Then later he was like, I'm dropping the Yahweh thing. Feels too old school.
Yeah.
I think before that he was Lil Yahweh, and then grew up.
Lil Yahweh.
I would love to hear comments from
people who know what they're talking about.
yeah.
Me too. I wish this is one where I'm like, wish Autumn was here.
Yeah, our friend
Autumn who's living
in Korea
there
who we
now.
visited.
Who took us to, you know, it's so funny in retrospect. I'm like, man, I'm glad Autumn took us to all these museums because it was like some
was
pretty
very helpful,
crucial
dude.
context for understanding this movie, particularly the Hangul Museum, because a lot of that,
which is my favorite.
a lot of that was about the Japanese occupation of Korea and specifically like how the Korean language was preserved through that period. Really moving museum, just like the kind of spirit of this country, like so determined to preserve its own history, is like really cool to learn about.
Yeah.
Same with the guys, and I didn't really know that was real. Guys going to look for these stakes in just this like desperation to unite the country is like fuck.
And also, fun fact with them is that after World War II, they were going out looking for these stakes, and then after the Korean War, they doubled as looking for mines as well, because they were already like looking for metal in the ground, and so the government was like, "Yeah, if you could do that and find some of these mines, that'd be really helpful," and they did.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, Korea is super interesting.
Yeah, history is cool.
History is very cool,
especially because Korean culture right now, it's media and culture has got such a, I won't say stranglehold, but
the Korean soft power right now is crazy.
And
by soft power, I mean like cultural exports.
Cultural influence, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
cultural influence is soft power.
In Civ language, their cultural points are very strong. And what's nuts is how even 10 years ago, it wasn't the same. And you go back 20 years, nothing.
Well, you talk to someone, granted they'd be like old now, but someone who even fought in like the Korean War, completely different place.
Oh yeah,
Korea for so long was a very poor country and
just struggling to find itself, and now look at it. It's fucking number one Gen Z influence probably.
Crazy, but it's crazy too to like look at it now and look at how much of its cultural heritage, like particularly the food we were learning about when we were there, is like so much of it is like fermented and stuff, because it's like this is not food for a wealthy nation. You know, like you preserve stuff so it lasts. This is like food that needs to last and like be hardy. And I don't know, it's super interesting place.
Yeah. I'd love to hear, like I said, hear comments from people who are more knowledgeable. Like if you're a fan of ours in Korea, please leave a comment. Let us know, because like we were there
happy.
last year. I'd love to go again. Like
me
we
too.
need to go.
I have
again.
to go to Latte World next time because we didn't have time.
We didn't. The way you said it sounded like latte, like a coffee drink. I feel like
Lotte. I think it's like Lotte World.
Oh, it's not like latte.
It's Lotte.
Yeah.
Let's, for fun, as we wrap this up, let's look at our Korean horoscopes. I want to know our signs, because I know that in Korea, and I think in China too, you have like the years that are the different animals, but also there's the like the elements get factored in as well to break it down into even more specific signs. So let me look. I had the page up, and of course now I don't. Okay. So you've got your 12 animals. But you also have, let me see, there's the 12-year cycle, and then there's the 60-year cycle, which combines the 12 animals with the 5 elements of wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. So you have 60 unique combinations. So mine is, I'm the metal horse, which I learned upon Googling is one of the least desirable signs for marriage. Like if I lived in like an older Korea, I would have been born, they'd be like, oh, this girl's never getting a husband.
Oh no.
Because I'm obstinate.
Metal horse, isn't that what they called cars?
Sure, that makes sense.
Trains? Wasn't it trains?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In like Old West mythology?
Yeah.
You're 89, you're an earth snake.
I'm an earth snake?
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot, you're 88.
88.
You're an earth dragon.
Goddamn right.
Oh, Gressel wins.
Earth dragon's pretty cool.
Although, like, fire dragon would probably be the coolest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
probably.
combination.
Yeah.
Like, what do you
Water dragon's pretty cool.
Water
too.
dragon.
Water dragon, yeah, like a Dratini,
Yeah.
if you will.
Exactly.
Let us know what you thought about Exuma, what you thought of how we did. We did our best. We watched this thing yesterday and then just did like 24 hours of crash course.
Yeah.
So we did our
Which
best.
was quite interesting, and I enjoyed it a lot. So
I want to see it. It sounds cool as hell.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I think you would like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie that, it's like, it stays fun, I think.
yeah. Also,
There are some spots of humor. Like,
Yeah,
there's a moment when the geomancer, after he's first seen the grave and like doesn't really want to do it, and they're standing in the hotel and he's just looking out the window. He's like, this hotel's on a good plot of land.
yeah, he has such the energy of dads who walk by a construction site and then pause and just kind of watch it with their hands up. Like that's kind of what he feels like to me, where he just is like, this is a good spot. You know? I love it. And very found family kind of feelings too, which I always like. Yeah. Great.
Cool.
All right, that was Exuma.
Exuma.
Not eczema, as I pronounced it at first. That's a skin condition.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Gressel, for listening to us talk about a movie you haven't watched.
And we're coming up on March, and people said they want a March Madness.
Oh, okay.
So
I can work on that.
yeah. Maybe
still-
take a trip to Universal.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. I got my Universal pass. I already met some people. I was working at Universal on Horror Survivor, ran into some podcast listeners. So
Fuck yeah.
yeah, shout out. Happy birthday again. Great. Until next time, I am Chelsea.
I'm James.
And that's Gressel. And this has been the Demi Podcast.
Oh, wait.